Hey yo, SOS Wrestle Talk back at y'all once again. This time, this is just not to steal a name from a stable from AEW, but this is a conglomeration talking about different wrestling, different sporting takes, and all that good stuff. Y'all already know me, man. Dion, Pro Wrestling Fly Guy, Stardust, Shuaku, all that good stuff, man. LK's like, what the hell? And you know who it is. It's your boy LK. He's here with me tonight, and I'm definitely glad for that. LK, good sir, man. How are you doing tonight?
How are we all? It's we did a really good job of doing this weekly. It was me one week and you the next week. It's just one of those things, isn't it? As time catches up to you, it's the older you get, the harder it is to get that time. But here we are. It's a crisp Thursday night in England, and lie down. We're to talk about some wrestling. And I tell you what, I've been a good boy. So I watched the AEW pay per view.
Okay.
I watched the Raw, believe it or not, and I watched last night's Dynamite.
Man, okay, man, you've been okay. I see you, bro. Like, also too, we'll probably have to talk off podcast about this. I don't know how streaming services go. I have Sling TV, and I can't watch Sling TV on Raw, so we'll talk after the show about that. But because I've just recently discovered, I was like, shit, I can watch Raw.
It'll be on Netflix though in January. How is like? 'Cause obviously, I don't in England. Netflix is massive. It's but like I don't know how it is in America and England. I mean, I myself, I don't generally have. I don't know how you have it. Do you know when you have cable? I'm assuming it's the same over here in England. You have to have it connected to the aerial. I don't. I actually, as God is my witness, don't have the aerial plugged into the back of my TV because I'll only watch streaming. Is that like that in America? Because I know you guys have like your USA Network and stuff like that in England exists, but especially people kind of in my generation, we don't use it.
Man, I'll tell you this, LK, is someone who when I was in a group chat, a couple buddies of mine, they're a couple years older than me, so that should probably tell you something. So we're talking, and I'm just like, bro, I don't have cable or I don't have Hulu because they're talking about AEW last night, which I did go back and watch. Thankfully, with my means, I did watch it. So the streaming services here, they're pretty much only streaming service I know that you technically have to have a cable provider per se is ESPN Plus, because I do have ESPN Plus as an app as well. And I know certain games that you want to watch, you have to have like the ESPN provider to use that. But as far as like Netflix is probably the biggest streaming service over here. And you don't really have to have like a cable connect. As long as you have internet, you should be able to watch it. All right. So like as far as Netflix over here. But I don't have cable. Everything I watch, hell, all this I got what? ESPN, New Japan World, WWE Network, or Peacock, or whatever you want to call it. I got all that stuff, so it's just like they make it to where you really don't have to have cable for most things, and that's just kind of the world we're in, and I'm not really upset with that because it makes everything more accessible.
Literally, and where you have your NBC USA, obviously Peacock is, if I'm right, Peacock is basically the USA Network, but a streamed version, right?
Over here, the Peacock pretty much is under the umbrella, or the Peacock per se. It's NBC and I believe some USA Network programming. You don't get Raw on the Peacock network. I think they do highlights though, but no, I mean if you don't have it, if you're over in America, if you don't have it, like honestly, I think Peacock's actually a really good deal. You get to watch some of the Sunday night games. If you're into football, they have all kinds of different sports, and they're not playing the channel. Don't get it twisted, y'all. None of these streaming servers are paying us. I mean, if they want to, they can. But
no. We started talking and then we were just like, fuck it, press the button and hit record. But that's the beauty of it. But yeah, and then over here, you're so lucky though, because I know on your Paramount Plus is insane, right? Yeah. You don't understand how much is Paramount Plus in America?
I believe it's $14.99 a month.
Oh, that's such a steal. So over here in England, it's like $6.99. It's dirt cheap, but it's the bare minimum. There's still some good stuff on there, like Dexter and stuff. But you guys get, I'm assuming you don't watch. You guys get football or soccer, and it's all on there, and it's like unbelievable. So for people in England to watch what you guys watch on Paramount for $14.99, it would cost you £70 extra per month to watch those games.
And it's like also too with the Paramount, they have like a deal with CBS, or I guess Paramount is CBS's parent company. I don't know which one is which. I'm sure I'm probably getting it wrong. But if you get the Paramount, you get the NFL games that come on that will be on the CBS network. So if you have the Paramount, you can get the game that's going to come on in England here Sunday. You can get all those games. So I'm like, okay. Like I used to have it. I mean, I didn't have it. I was using somebody's, so I would watch all those games last year. And then like I went to go check. It was a couple months. I'm like, hey, I wonder if that's still logged in. I was like, nope. I'm like, fuck. So I gotta eventually get that. But no, you're able to watch a lot of stuff with all these things, man. I think also too the Paramount is tied into over here at least. It's tied into MTV. So if you want to watch, if you were like a fan of some of those like older shows like The Real World and all like the True Life, yeah, like you can watch that stuff if you want. I'm just it's there. So I was like, it's not a bad deal to be honest. So
yeah, we have some of them. We have South Park and a couple of reality ones. But excuse me, what hits off in England is strangely so much different to what takes off in America. So I definitely think they have different release schedules. Like I don't know. The last thing before we actually talk about some pro wrestling on this pro wrestling show, have you watched SEAL Team on Paramount? Or have you heard of SEAL Team?
I have heard of it. I have not watched it, though. I have not watched it.
Oh my days. It is unbelievable. So, but again, we'll get to wrestling. So, you know, it came the last season, that they're doing the final season that came out in Paramount in America on, I think it was August the 5th or 6th.
Okay.
But the advert for Paramount that they put out just said coming to Paramount Plus August 5th, 6th. Whichever day it was, and my friend who we binged all 6 seasons together. It took us a couple of months, but we literally was like, right, what are you doing after work tonight? We were like, I'm free. We should watch SEAL Team, and we'd watch like 2 or 3 episodes a night. So he came round, and we were like, all right, cool. We sat down, and we even got the old chip shop in, and we turned on Paramount, and it wasn't on. So it's like, for fuck's sake, you Americans are so fucking lucky. You get all of the good stuff first. But speaking of good stuff, let's actually talk about some damn wrestling after you bored everyone to death.
Okay, I'm glad you actually brought up the England side of things, because there is one show that I did partake in this week, and it actually took place this Sunday. Not going to give a super in-depth talk about it, because if you want to look at that, we do have it up on the channel. That would be the New Japan Pro Wrestling King of Pro Wrestling review. Go ahead and check that out, please, because show is a damn good show. But main event, we had Zack Sabre Jr. Finally, because ZSJ has been, honestly, as long, I'm going to go ahead and say he's been a staple of his channel since we've been covering New Japan, is Zack Sabre Jr. And him finally winning the IWGP, whether it be heavyweight, World Heavyweight Championship. That is the thing. Before I throw it to you, because you already know who my favorite wrestler is. My favorite wrestler to the end of my days is going to be Tetsuya Naito, all day, every day. So I'm always kind of one of those guys. I'm like, Naito gets a raw deal or whatever, yada, yada, yada. We've been through all that. But seeing ZSJ, Zack Sabre Jr., be the one to take the belt from Naito, it was kind of weird. Like, I kind of knew he was probably going to, but it was kind of like, all right, well, Zack has been here the whole time, man. I respect Zack so much. So him beating Naito and I have nothing against Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley is a tremendous talent in pro wrestling. He's cut his teeth. He's earned everything that he's earned. But when Zack Sabre Jr. beat Naito, I was like, you know what? That kind of felt right. And me being, LIJ, Tetsuya Naito through and through, I couldn't be too upset at that. I was like, you know what? Zack has earned this. He probably should have been a champion a long time ago. But yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. is the new World Heavyweight Champion over in New Japan, the IWGP. What are your thoughts on that initially, okay?
Well, I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't have New Japan World and I didn't watch it. That is shambolic, isn't it? I'll get right. I'll give myself a little. I'll give myself a little excuse. I was away in Manchester.
You're not.
I watched. You'll appreciate this. Listen to this for a fucking concert I went to. Miss Lauryn Hill.
What? Look at you, bro. Wow. Okay. You know what?
Dude, it was the most. There's 2 times I've ever been to an event, a concert, where kind of the actual aura. That's a big word going around these days, isn't it? These hipsters, these youngsters, they like to say the word aura. This is an aura. There's 2 times I've actually stood and just been in kind of like a moment where you don't realize that you're actually there. You're just like kind of starstruck, so to say. And it was when I saw The Undertaker live on Monday Night Raw in the UK 2014, when they faced the Shield in the 6-man tag, that one, when Undertaker made his entrance, you kind of, because obviously I'd never thought in my lifetime I'd ever see it. So I was kind of like, oh, but man, when she came out, she started singing. Oh my God. It was unbelievable. And it was only one of the guys from the Fugees. He came out and they were unbelievable. The place was rammed, it was sold out, not a seat there, not a standing position there. It was what a show, what a show. So I then obviously, because it's a fucking long travel, so we finished the show, went back, stayed overnight, then we came back the next day, and I got a notification on my Facebook. And I rarely get it because I don't go on Facebook, sort of crap. It's just old people moaning. And it scrolled down and it was like MJP World Dash, Zack Sabre Jr. wins IWGP World Championship. I'm like, ah. And you know when you find out a spoiler, like it was a spoiler to me. It was obviously a live result, but it kind of made me go, damn. I was going to go and watch it, but I know who wins now. You know, it's kind of one of those things. So I definitely want to go back and watch it. I think, like you said, it's definitely one of those where we've watched from him kind of coming to New Japan. Obviously, he was doing stuff with Noah first. We watched him come to New Japan. And we watched his whole journey, the New Japan Cup victory. We covered that. Man, it's so annoying, all that big run of New Japan when it was hot. All that pieces of content that we'd done, that channel got deleted. That's quite it's really shit, because it would be so nice to kind of go back and be like, right, 5 years ago today, boom, and have like a Wrestle Kingdom from 2019 review uploaded, just so people can kind of go, that's what happened 5 years ago. But regardless, so yeah, I 100% agree with you. I'm glad he won. I want to go back and watch it. Is it actually a good match? Or
it was a good match. I think too with this is, one, Naito and Zack Sabre Jr. are very familiar with each other, so I think that kind of helps into that as well. I know Naito was getting a lot of crap over the Forbidden Door match with him and Moxley, which I always thought that was ironic that Naito got all the kind of getting shit on, but Moxley was just absolved. I just thought that was kind of weird, but yeah, that was actually probably one of Naito's better matches so far of the year. Of course, Zack Sabre Jr. is in his prime right now. He's just doing all the things. And this is probably the right decision. You give Naito a time to maybe see if he can't get this knee situation in order, kind of keep him out of the main event for a little bit. And yes, it keeps everything interesting. Also, too, LK, because since you didn't watch the show, now I wasn't saying it like that. It was like, since you didn't watch, I wasn't saying it like that.
Yeah.
So after he wins the belt, the Zack Sabre Jr. And going back to him winning the belt, like I said, I think it's just I kind of compare it to Rob Van Dam in WWE, to where he probably should have won the belt sooner, but when he won the belt, it's still special. You know what I mean? It was still special. It was okay, it's still special. Like RVD should have probably won the belt in WWE probably 2002, 2003, but he ended up beating Cena in 2006. You know, rest is history. You know, so on and so forth. But, you know, there was a lot of, insinuating circumstances back then. We had, the elites. You had your, Jay White was coming in. You just said there was a whole lot of moving parts that kind of was like, all right, we can kind of, not necessarily push Zack Sabre Jr., but pushing. But going back to the post-match, he's celebrating. He, of course, congratulates Naito. Naito's like, I'll be back, Cabron, as Naito does. And so he's talking, and Sonata comes out, because he's scheduled to have a match this coming Sunday against Sonata at Royal Quest, actually in your backyard. And so he comes out. Sonata's like, well, I guess since we're having a match already, it looks like this is going to be an IWGP World Title match. And so Zack Sabre Jr. accepted. Then we get Shota Umino coming out, and this right here was extremely telling. Shota Umino comes out. He's booed out of the building. Like, I mean, he's getting booed. He hasn't even picked the mic up yet. He's booed out of the building. So he picks the mic up. He goes to talk. People are just trying to drown him out with boos. So he's going to talk. Then he kind of puts the mic down, kind of like looking at the crowd like, are you serious right now? So then he goes to talk. They're booing through his whole promo about him challenging for the belt. He gets in the ring. And I was talking to this about a friend of mine. He was like, oh, well, maybe they were just doing this because people were coming out challenging for the belt. And I was like, I don't know. Shingo comes out last. Shingo does not get booed at all. Shingo gets a nice reception. And I'm just like, oh my God. So It's weird. I'm like, is this Shota Mito experiment? Does he need to go on an excursion like Naito did the first run? Because these people were literally booing. They were not literally giving him a chance. And he's the baby face. He's a baby face in this situation. And he's talking about representing the home tie, the home New Japan team. And these people were not feeling it. They didn't want to hear it. And I thought that was just so damn unfortunate for him. And he's not one of my favorite young lions right now. My favorite young lion, of course, is Yota Tsuji. Shout out to him. But I just thought that was crazy. And I was like, wow, I'm like, are they not really receptive to this character that he has right now? And if that's the case, I don't know. I mean, New Japan might have to go back to the drawing board for some stuff if that's the case.
He'll turn, surely.
Yeah. You know, literally, that's what, and you just described it perfectly. Okay, it's pretty much in pro wrestling. If you're a babyface and the fans really don't like you, they're not receptive to you, this literally turn heel and start doing edgy shit. They'll like you again and then they'll be cheering you. That's look at Tetsuya, look at Roman Reigns. Like, they literally will. They'll just be like, okay, we like you again now. Like, it's actually a proven trope in pro wrestling. So, but let's get to the stuff that you did watch right here. So, I actually did watch AEW Wrestle Dream as well. Shout out to Antonio Inoki. That was an event created by him many years ago. And I did I watched last year's Wrestle Dream as well. And I hate to be like, well, how was this one compared to last year's? And because every year is different. You really can't just compare a show because they have the same name. You can't really do that. But I thought that show started off really strongly with the opening with Jay White and Hangman Page. I thought that match was pretty good. I think I want to say maybe after the hologram and Black Taurus, shout out to Black Taurus, he's really good. I think after that, that's kind of when, I don't want to say went off the rails, but I think that's kind of when this show kind of took maybe like all right, this is going like another way. And I mean, that's cool, but I thought it was probably going to go another way, you know?
Yeah, it was, I mean, AEW on pay-per-views usually really good. It was good. I would agree with you on that one. I'm going to be honest. There was a few times because I obviously thought, right, doing the show, I'm going to watch. But there's a few times where I grabbed my controller and was like, I want to skip, which is so bad because I'm so used to, for example, with Dynamite and Raw. Sometimes even if I get up early for work and say I've got 45 minutes, I could be like, no, that's fine. I can watch Raw or Dynamite and I'll still have time. Because I just said skip, not bothered, skip, which is terrible. But I watched the show. Like you said, the Hangman Jace was good. Hologram Taurus was pretty good. The triple threat, though, was really good. With Takeshita, Ospreay, and Ricochet. I thought that was really good. And then kind of between that and the main event, it was just kind of matches. Jericho Briscoe was better than anticipated.
Yeah.
It felt like, man, you didn't need half that shit. The Young Bucks against Private Party. Who gives a fuck? This is so bad, but I honestly, when the Elite started doing the stuff where they're attacking Tony Khan, it's like, yeah, this is good. Okay, cool. We're actually getting the Young Bucks heels. It's exciting. But we're 6 months removed from that? It's so cold. It's like they're there because they're EVPs and they're the Young Bucks. That's why they're there. The exact same as FTR. They're just there. They exist. Their tag division, which remember when AEW started, it was like, oh, we're going to be really big on tag wrestling. Their tag division right now is so fucking boring. And I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. I generally do not care about a single team. Like, I like the Young Bucks. I like FTR. They have a match. Cool. I like Private Party. I like Young Bucks. They have a match. Cool. But I just don't care. And I think that is a big problem with AEW right now, is that you got these great matches, and it's like, Ospreay carrying this company on his back. His wages are probably insane, but they should be tripled. But you take that triple threat match out of the equation, and that first 3.5 hours is just wrestling. There's no proper story. There's no real cat. It's just like, why the fuck was Hangman Jay actually happening? When Jay music hit the start, I was like, oh, who's he facing? I generally didn't know. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then that match happened and didn't match on Dynamite. You wouldn't even know it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It's like that match didn't even happen on Dynamite because I don't know if people didn't watch Dynamite. Jay White took and I mean, I get why he lost to Christian Cage. I guess they're continuing the feud with him and Hangman Page, which that's fine, I guess, whatever. But because Christian Cage, he has that contract for the AEW World Championship, which I don't know if their plans are going to be, kind of, messed up with that now since Luchasaurus actually is out with he almost pretty much died. I don't know if you heard that a little bit ago. Yeah. So like he's going to be out for a little bit, it looks like. So I don't know what that's going to mean for the Christian Cage pretty much cash in here in the foreseeable future. And let's just call it what it is. For all foreseeable purposes, what Christian Cage has in his hand, LK, is the Money in the Bank, bro. Let's just call it that. Like I mean, we can't call it like it's trademark purposes, but that's the Money in the Bank, bro. You need to come up with an AEW name for it, but that's literally what it is. Like it's the Money in the Bank. But also too, and another thing about the pay-per-view about Wrestle Dream, this is another problem that AEW has, and it happened once. This person beat another person at All In. Well, this is just me personally. I don't know. I could be looking at it. Maybe I'm looking at it from a different lens. I felt like once Mariah May beat Toni Storm, she damn near became less important because how they are booking things, it's almost like Mercedes's TBS championship is the most important women's title in that division, and the women's title is taking a backseat to Mercedes Moné. That's literally how it feels to me. And I'm just like, why don't they should have had, like, I don't know, they could have swapped belts. I don't know, they should have swapped belts or something. But that's literally how I feel about that, because Mariah May had a match with Willow Nightingale, who is literally one of the like most pure baby faces in pro wrestling right now. She gets a tremendous fan reaction. This is a straight up baby face. So shout out to Willow Nightingale for that. And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Mariah May is taking a back seat since she's gotten that bet off Toni Storm. I feel like once we got it, I feel like not we, but I felt like once Tony, that being Tony Khan, had that feud, which was a hot feud. It was decent. It was good. They didn't have her really, you didn't have Toni Storm turn on her. You had the opposite happen. So I thought that was good. But once that happened, it was all right, what are we doing with Mariah May next? And I don't really know that if they had any plans necessarily for her right after that match right here. So that's one thing I took notice of. And two, I want there to be somebody, because Will Ospreay is actually one of my favorite wrestlers. I love Will Ospreay. He's a fucking talented guy. I want there to be a match to where there's not somebody that necessarily complements his style, because even when he did wrestle a guy like Brian wasn't really able to successfully ground him in a kayfabe sense. I want there to be a match to where he can't really do a lot of this shit. He has to stick to this kind of mat-based offense, which he has actually adapted his style, because we watched Will Ospreay for a long time. We know he's actually toned a lot of his high flying down as what he used to do back in the day. But it's just kind of like, all right, I want there to be kind of a match to where he's not going through his normal sequences as he usually does, to where he kind of has to like pull something else out. And I think maybe he can get that out of a guy like Takashita, maybe. I think because he was kind of there trying to be like, hey, no more of this. No, I looked at how he said no high flying stuff, guys. That's how I was looking at the kayfabe. Said y'all could do that, but I'm here to punish you guys. But those are kind of the things I took from Wrestle Dream. And also too, now what happened on the show Wednesday, with the BCC pretty much being the dominant heel stable, pretty much just the Young Bucks looking on when they were attacking everybody. Like, what does that do? Does that mean the Young Bucks are going to be faces now? Like, I don't like. It's kind of very convoluted, and I'm just trying to like make sense of what's going on and what they're giving me.
It was the Dynamite was so fucking shit. I mean, really, really bad. It was dreadful. It was like. There's a couple of things that we didn't touch on with Wrestle Dream. Obviously, the Adam Cole returning. That was pretty good with MJF. That was really good. But he came out babyface. Obviously, he's going to get a pop because he's coming back. But then on Dynamite, he's coming out cutting a babyface promo when the actual story is Adam Cole was the devil and attacked MJF. But Adam Cole's the babyface. And they didn't explain on Dynamite why he's the babyface and why MJF's the heel. MJF's just like, oh, blah, 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 I trusted you and you betrayed me. Well, surely that makes you the babyface because he fucked you over. And it was so confusing. And the story's so old now. It's kind of like, I'll let them cook. I'll allow them the benefit of the doubt, because obviously it's Adam Cole and it's MJF. They're both incredible. But I was like, fuck that. Oh, but yeah. So you said that about the Brian Moxley was a pretty good match. It wasn't incredible, but it was a pretty good main event, and I like the fact they ended with heat. That's really good. It's because usually in AEW you either have a debut or you have like a victory. So it's good to see because it actually made me want to watch Dynamite. I'm like, okay, where are we going to go with this? They left it obviously Brian getting stretched out. Everyone did a really good job of that. And then BCC are beating down and fighting. Action Andretti, Evil Uno. And I'm thinking, I can't remember the last time I sat down and watched an Evil Uno match or an Action Andretti match. I don't know if that's been on Collision. But it was just, I was watching, I'm like, why the fuck isn't Will Ospreay coming out? Why isn't Ospreay getting involved? And then you set up a Jon Moxley versus Will Ospreay match on a pay-per-view. I don't know if they're saving that, but imagine during that beatdown, Will Ospreay's music hits. He comes out, Moxley scatters, everyone scatters because they're all like, oh shit, it's Ospreay. He then looks like a star. They look like cowards. And then you have Carl Fletcher, boom, low blow, hit that fucking Tiger Driver, bam. That way you're still establishing Carl Fletcher, Ospreay, you're setting up Ospreay, Moxley, and instead you got Evil Uno fighting in the parking lot. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't want to see that on Dark. you know what I mean? I wouldn't want to see that on Ring of Honor. Actually, it belongs on Ring of Honor, so I wouldn't have to watch it. Exactly. And no disrespect, Evil Uno's. I remember watching stuff in PWG that they were really great. They still are great, but they haven't been positioned in the company for, I'd say, a solid 3 years as stars. And so you're meant to be like, oh, Jon Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, and Pac are attacking these, in all intents and purposes, jobbers. It's like, you don't do, why? But it'll be interesting to see what they do. I still think I would believe Ospreay's going to be the one to take the belt off Moxley, and Christian's then going to cash in on Ospreay straight after. That's what I think they're going to do.
I got a different scenario, okay, because it's the way they how they've been. This is what I just been told, what they've been telling me. This is what I think is going to happen. I think Darby Allin is actually going to be the one to beat Moxley. Christian cashes in on Darby Allin, and then Will Ospreay takes the belt off Christian because they want Darby Allin to be the champion. And like, I mean, I don't have anything actually against Darby Allin. I think he's actually a solid talent, but like, oh, we want him to be the long-term like babyface. I'm like, I don't know, man. I think you have other people that could fit. Like, he's not like, and I'm not trying to compare him to a Jeff Hardy, but like, I mean, let's just say for intents and purposes here, he's a Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was a very over guy, which Darby Allin is. And you can position him to that main event slot when you need it to. But in his heart of hearts, Jeff Hardy, as you know, he was an upper mid-carder to where he could win the Intercontinental belt, but he also could win the WWE title. I think that's the best position for Darby Allin. I don't know if he should be just, oh, well, he's straight up this main event right now. I'm like, okay, well, honestly, if you want to be real about it, like, they put that belt, Takashi that shit really be in their main event. And the only reason he's not in their main event because one, like, I don't know, the whole Callis thing is kind of weird, but it's just a very convoluted stable. Speaking of Callis family, you got Lance Archer. Somebody called him Drew McIntyre on Twitter. I didn't say that. Somebody else said that. I was like, wow, he kind of loves.
Oh, there is some hope on the Twitter machine then.
It was that, and man, I don't know. It's just like the whole. I'm just trying to figure out where they're going with this whole. I'm just gonna call them AEW Underground. I don't know. I don't even know if they're the BCC anymore. They kind of alluded to that as well. So that's one thing. And like you said, their tag team division, man. It's just it's just like I could take it or leave it. It's like I don't even really. It isn't really. It's inconsequential, and it's like almost. In a way, their trios division by default, because I mean, proxy their tag team division, that is even more inconsequential. It's just like, okay, we're going to just have random 3 guys that's team up to try to take these belts or whatever, which I don't know why. Like, I don't know why they just didn't win Bullet Club Gold won them with the Ring of Honor. They just should have just merged the belts and been like, okay, these can be fitted on AEW, Ring of Honor, whatever. Okay, that's great. But then they're like, no, we're going to separate them again. And here are the 6-man Ring of Honor belts, and here are the trios belts for AEW. So I'm like, okay, that's convoluted already as well. They've messed up, and in my opinion, they've messed Hook up so much because they've had him just hang on to that FTW belt for like no reason. I'm like, I get it, it's your dad's title, but it's a non-sanctioned belt that really even shouldn't have been brought back. But I get why they did. They thought Moxley was gonna be out longer, but then when he wasn't out longer, it's kind of like, okay, we just have this thing now. So I'm glad they retired that. Was it the last couple shows ago? That was good. One thing too, also that I saw that was actually one of the things I want to give AEW credit for, because I want to sound like we just crapping on them. And it was actually some storyline driven. And I saw a lot of people kind of shitting on it online, was the whole promo during Wrestle Dream between Swerve Strickland, MVP, Prince Nana, and Shelton Benjamin. And I'm just like, no, this is what AEW needs, is storyline driven stuff right now. They need stuff to where, okay, he doesn't have to wrestle Shelton Benjamin right now. They can have like a promo off per se. They can kind of see where this goes, because you and I both know where this is leading, but it's good to just see, hey, let's just have like a promo in the ring and see how it is.
Absolutely, that was good. And the problem, well, I'm going to summarize at least, because the beautiful thing about wrestling is the same as TV, is you can have your opinion. It is your opinion. You can like something and don't like it, and if you like it and we don't like it, then you know what, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You know, that doesn't make you dumb or doesn't make you stupid. It's you enjoy your own personal preference. My personal preference for AEW at the minute, and again, we cover all wrestling. We don't be like, right, we're loyalists to this company. If it's wrestling, if it's wrestlers wrestling, we'll watch it.
Oh.
And it's like they have this really incredible roster, and no one's actually over. No one's actually a star. The people who, I honestly feel, people who have come from WWE, and I don't mean to sound in a horrible way, but they've lost stock by going to AEW. I look at Edge. I don't see him as this major superstar anymore. I look at Adam Cole. I see him less than when he was in NXT, even Ring of Honor. MJF is an example. It was a point, last year where you tuned in just to see MJF. I'm at the point I don't care. Just because I have no faith in a direction. You can't sit there as a fan and be like, right, we've got 6 weeks for this pay-per-view. We got a pay-per-view Full Gear November 23rd. Let's just sit back, relax, and enjoy this ride. They don't do that. They have to have a dream match every week. It's wrestler versus wrestler, and they're wrestling for the first time ever. It's like, no, that doesn't work. And like, he must look at the numbers and be like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And this show, there's Dynamite. There was like a main event of Christian versus Jay with when I mean zero build, I mean negative build. And then you had Benjamin Leo Rush, which was a good match. Good to see Benjamin's got himself into really good shape. That was fun, and that's fair enough because you're building up Benjamin. You need to get some wins for him to take on Swerve. But then what? Swerve's going to beat Lashley, presumably. And then what? What are they going to do? That's the problem. Is they have feuds, they end, and then kind of what happens after? Nothing. Look at there's so many examples. Samoa Joe, Hook, so many people have these really big feuds. Daniel Garcia, they have these really big feuds. They end, and then nothing happens with them. It's just there's not a feud end and then bam, they're straight into another one. It ends, and then it's like, right, now I got 4 weeks to decide what I want to do with Daniel Garcia. It's like, I think he needs help. What I'm trying to say, I think Tony Khan needs help when it comes to writing the shows. I don't think he should be doing it all himself. He should have a team, like an actual creative team that actually says, right, we've got 6 weeks to Full Gear. Tony, what match gets you a little bit excited under the trousers? Okay, yeah, we'll put that on. Don't worry about build. We'll put that on. But everything else, let's build. Let's get people to care, because that's what AEW used to do really well. It was exciting for these dream matches, but we've seen them now. We're used to them now, and it's kind of like it's no longer exciting. You can only do that for so long. Like Ospreay Ricochet, we talked about them having a match a long time away. Yeah. They had a random throwaway match on TV with no build besides they had matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling and in the UK. That was the build for the match. So if you're an actual TV person who doesn't watch wrestling besides AEW, say you just watch AEW, you're just seeing it's two guys. I don't know nothing about Ricochet. Why do I care about Ricochet? What's Ricochet going to do now? Ricochet's going to do fuck all. I tell you that now. Ricochet's going to be tagging with Will Ospreay when they do Ospreay Ricochet against Archer and Fletcher, building up to Fletcher Ospreay. But he's going to do nothing with Ricochet. It's the exact same thing he does with everybody. He brings them in, gives them something to do, that finishes, and then he doesn't know what to do with them after.
He has a plan with them. My bad. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. My bad, bro. He has an initial plan that's Tony like, oh, okay, I want to rekindle this, like you said, with Adam Copeland or Edge. I still call him Edge. I don't give a damn. He's Edge to me. This man, like you said, dude, he's just a guy now, man. Tony Khan succeeded in just making Edge a guy. And I remember the match that he actually got injured in, that match with Malachi Black, where it was like a steel cage, death-defying death match, whatever they call it. I don't know. I was like, okay, so this is their first match. Why is this match a steel cage match? This should be a match that he should be having with Christian Cage. Like, why is he having this match with Malachi Black? But then I remember, maybe in Edge being also one of my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time, I remember this. And this is probably, if you go back to Edge's career too, you can kind of pick this out. Before, when he was wrestling on SmackDown, when he was with the SmackDown 6, him, the Guerreros, Benoit, Angle, Rey Mysterio, they were putting on classics. That was literally before he had that serious neck injury. And once he had that serious neck injury, kind of like a Stone Cold Steve Austin situation, Edge had to kind of change his style a little bit. He became more of a, not necessarily brawler type, but he kind of added the brawlerness into his repertoire. He started to, even though he was in the TLC matches before, he started to be in more gimmick matches per se in that era of WWE in his career. So I figured he was probably doing that to kind of hide his, I don't want to say limitations, but let's just be real, limitations. So I get that, but I was like, okay, you had that match with the wrong person. That you end up injuring yourself even more. We don't even know if this man's gonna wrestle again to this point. He might not. He might not. We don't know. And another thing too, okay, it's kind of what you was just going off of, the whole Will Ospreay Ricochet thing. Tony was so eager to rush that match just to say he could have that match on TV, on AEW programming, whatever you want to have it. And the way he just booked that situation, he could have booked it the same way. It could have been the same result, but he could have booked it way differently. What he should have done is, if he was this gung-ho on having Ospreay and Ricochet, not waiting until like a Revolution or hell, even like a World's End, but he's like, you know what? I got to have this match Wrestle Dream. I can't wait. I got to have this match Wrestle Dream. They don't touch until the match Wrestle Dream. They don't. That's when they have their first one-on-one match. So even if you want to come and have Takashi to come and interfere, make the match no contest, have that happen. Don't restart the match. Come in, have them Wrestle Dream, have Takashi to make it a no contest. Then Ospreay's like, you know what? He came and interrupted that match. I got to defend this belt against him. He defends the belt against Takashi at Full Gear. He drops the belt to him, but I see why Tony did what he did. He did this match, LK, because he wanted to protect Ospreay, which I understand you want to protect your wrestlers, but sometimes when you protect your wrestlers, it just makes everything look stupid. Because if you do it like that, to where, all right, this match was interrupted with him and Ricochet, it was really inconclusive, no finisher, these guys are 1-1 against each other, then you have Takashi to take the belt off of him. Kind of, in my opinion, when you have that next one-on-one match of Ricochet and Will Ospreay, it kind of makes the match that much more important, because it's like, okay, well, they're like, Takashi's out of the picture now. Hell, there's not even an international title now. This is these dudes going one-on-one. Who's the man? Who's better between these guys? You had a chance to do that. He didn't do that. And I was like, okay, that's great. And then, too, speaking about Takashi, LK, do you remember when he was pretty much challenging Okada for that Continental belt, and then that just kind of just dropped out of nowhere?
So poor. This is what I was hoping they were going to do. I still think they should have done the three-way, but this is what I was hoping they were going to do. But then they should have advertised Ospreay Ricochet, that match at Grand or whichever Dynamite it was. Because the three-way wasn't announced at that point. So They get in the ring face to face. Bell rings. Takeshita comes down. Boom. Beats them both up. You don't get the match. Heat on Takeshita would be insane.
Yep.
You then have the 3-way. The 3-way happens. Takeshita wins. Blah, blah, blah. Post-match, Ospreay, Ricochet stare down. They shake hands. And you see them both mouth Wednesday. And then it gets announced straight after the pay-per-view. It gets announced Will Ospreay, Ricochet. Now people have had a little taste. They've seen them in the ring, but they haven't been wrestling one-on-one.
Yeah, no.
You then set that as the main event instead of Christian and Jay. And you have the BCC attack them.
Woo, you cooking.
And then you go from there. You go, right, this has to happen at Full Gear. And there'll be there's going to be security, extra security, blah blah blah. But the only time and place we know that this match can definitely take place is at Full Gear. So then you've basically 2 times you've teased the match that ended with getting heat on Takeshita, heat on the BCC, and then you also at the same time had them touch and wrestle, but only a little bit because they obviously did wrestle together in the 3-way. So they could give you a little teaser and then do it at the pay-per-view. That's what, and then obviously that then could lead to a future Moxley against Ospreay. But that way you're kind of making people want to see it rather than give it to them because now I don't really want to see it now because you've seen him in a 1-on-1 and you've seen him in a 3-way all in the space of 2 weeks. I'm all right. I'm generally all right. They could announce that it's taking place on Collision and I probably still wouldn't watch it. It's kind of they've done it now, and they blew it. They blew it, and it's so sad because if this was 2-3 years ago, we'd be coming on here singing the praise of AEW. But when it's bad, it needs to be known as bad. We can't come on here and be like, oh no, they had a good effort. Like no, it's bad. It's really bad. It's why people are not watching it anymore.
Yeah, man. Like okay, too. Like I mean, around that time. I will give AEW the benefit of the doubt because they were in the honeymoon period. They're still like a new company in that point. So you kind of got to, let stuff kind of, work out the kinks, start doing this stuff. But, and also too, going on to that match, what you would have with Ospreay and Ricochet. And you kind of did touch on it a little bit because I ain't trying to steal none of your thunder because you already touched on it. But you could, if you wanted to, Tony Khan, because you already laid out a nice filet mignon. That motherfucking nice. We got some nice mashed potatoes. We got some chives on those mashed potatoes right there, And if you wanted to add a nice bit of wine to that plate, you could say, Tony Khan, hey, this match must have a winner. No, there's going to be no interference, no time limit. The winner of this match is a future AEW World Title shot. And I'm like, you know what? I'm interested in that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm interested in that.
Stakes, a reason to care who wins.
Yeah, that's all we're asking for. This, hey, and this give us something. Give us a reason to care. That's literally all I'm asking for. This ultimately,
it's not a lot. We're not asking the wrestlers to go out and put a 5-star match on every single week. Just please, if you're gonna have a promo and segment heavy show, do it well and elevate stuff. Like it's not difficult. It's really not. I mean. It is probably a lot more difficult than it's easy us fancy booking from afar, but it's just I would much rather watch a 2-3 star match. I hate using it, but a 2-3 star match, like a good match. But my damn, do I care who wins and who loses, rather than watching a 5-star match with 2 great wrestlers, and you're just like, that was a great match. Now what? That's literally AEW. Now what? That is AEW. AEW, now what?
I think too, okay, another thing, this is also a problem of theirs. And I thought about this kind of maybe like subconsciously, but Will Ospreay, talented wrestler, he can do all the moves in the world. But if he has, I don't want to say they have the same move set, but if he does this move set, but we just had a match earlier that was 2 out of 3 falls with Hologram and Black Taurus, who Hologram is also a high flyer. I mean, even though they do different stuff, it's almost kind of like the same kind of palette. It's like, hey, I'm just having a different type of cheeseburger right here, as opposed to, hey, I'm eating a salad or I'm having sushi or whatever may have you. So I think they have a problem with a lot of wrestlers kind of fall into that similar category of doing a lot of the similar things to where I'm not even trying to like, oh, I'm just putting the light on WWE. But the one thing I can say about WWE and hell, even New Japan, they have different wrestlers that do different things, and they stick out because they do different things. When you have a lot of wrestlers doing the same type maneuvers, same type stuff, everybody's gonna kind of get blended together. Then you're gonna have a few guys who stand out that do different stuff. And Tony Khan really can't book big guys well. I've always said that, and I challenge people to even challenge me on that. I mean, look at Wardlow. You got Lance Archer. Look at all these. I mean, you got Powerhouse Hobbs, even though he's injured right now. Look at how he books the big. If he would just sprinkle in some of those big guys and book them well, that would kind of mask and get rid of that. Oh, a lot of these guys are similar type situations because you also have these big guys here who are doing stuff as well. So that's one thing I also picked up.
Oh, 100%. Well, we talked about that on the last time we were on, where we talked about Wardlow, what criminal injustice, and Tony Khan should be in prison for that. Speaking of being in prison, no, we're not going to talk about P. Dizzle. That guy's a fucking idiot. I watched Raw. I did because it went to 2 hours, and it was a Tuesday night, and I put it on, and I thought Bad Blood was amazing. Really good show. Raw after wasn't that great, but I was like, okay, I'll give it a chance. We're building up to the Saudi show, the Crown Jewel, and I don't know if you watched it or not, but it was so bad.
It wasn't wrong.
It was just nothing happened again. Cody Gunther's segment was pretty damn good. I enjoyed that. They didn't touch, again, building up, making you care about that match. But besides that, it was a really bad. I think I watched the show in about half an hour. Like, I mean, I know it's only 2 hours now, so that helps. But it was just like I could not skip because it was just so boring. And I can't believe I'm about to say this words, but I think Raw needs to be 3 hours. I don't think it can handle 2.
Because, I mean, I was thinking about this too, LK, because Raw's been, at this point, 3 hours, because I think they started in, I want to say maybe 2011, 2012, going 3 hours. So for a lot of people who've watched WWE, hell, especially growing up, for all they know that Raw's been 3 hours their whole fucking life. It's just like, hey, man, Raw's 3 hours, And I remember, like, going over to a friend of mine's house specifically. We would go and watch Raw, and it'll be 3 hours, and both of us be nearly falling asleep. And I'm like, I got a 20-minute drive home, man. Shit. Like, I'm just thinking, like, fuck, I should have just left earlier. But I think now with the situation of how the rosters are positioned, 3 hour Raw might be better. I think they fill the time better than what they used to. If you want to say because, okay, well, they want to make the PLEs feel special, that's one thing. And I mean, as I get older, I'm kind of one of them guys, hey, I don't want like a pay-per-view, because I was talking to somebody on Twitter about this. I'm like, man, I don't want a pay-per-view or PLE. I'm not trying to have it go until like 1 a.m. I am trying to like get some sleep because I do have to work in the morning. So like, I'm like, if it can end at like 11:30, I'll be happy. But I think the WWE's fallen in love with this 5-match PLE schedule, which, I mean, you breeze through fine, which is cool. But I'm like, if you're going to have 5 matches, you have like 2 promo segments in between. So you can at least have 6 matches. The 6 matches is fine. I'm like, okay, 6 is cool. But that, and I think also, too, another thing that I've been noticing about, especially with one of the main feuds on Raw, because they have a couple main feuds, but the whole Judgment Day versus the Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest feud. I'm like, literally, why is this feud still going on? Because in my opinion, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley she hadn't got the belt from Liv Morgan, but in all intents and purposes, y'all just been kind of whooping their ass at every turn and just kind of just thwarting him. Finn Balor's fucking done after that match with him and Damian Priest at the last show. So, I mean, it's just like, why are they still? I get why they're still feuding because, she was there with the Judgment Day for so long. But at this point, I think the feud has kind of run its course, literally, in my opinion. But they don't have anything for. I don't want to say they don't have anything for either one of them to do, but they really didn't have anything for Priest to do after he dropped the belt to Gunther. And it's kind of like Judgment Day without those people, in my opinion, when they were in the group. They were the strongest parts of the group. So it's kind of like, oh, well, Judgment Day just lost their strongest parts, so they were going to be irrelevant. They don't have some kind of way to cling on to them. So I think that's kind of, that's a little itchy, iffy situation right there. I don't know what you think about that, but.
Yeah, I'm under the same umbrella. They need to wrap it up. It's time for Ripley to get the belt back. and then we can be done with this, and they can all move on with their lives. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we go into a War Games, to be honest.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. And I got to credit my boy Andrew at work. He's the one who gave me this idea. So I can't just say I just took it or I just made it up. But he said, I already know what War Games is going to be this year. I was like, okay. I was like, here. I was one of the list. I'm like, sure, shoot. So he says, on the babyface side, we're going to get Cody, Roman, Jimmy, Sammy, and he said somebody. It would say maybe Randy. I'm thinking maybe Randy. He said on the heel side, we're going to get Solo. We're going to get your favorite guys, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa. Especially, I know you love Tonga Loa so much. I know you love him. Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu, and Kevin Owens will be their fifth member on the heel side. I was like, that's very interesting. I was like, I could kind of get behind that. Like, I don't know.
That works. That works. I wouldn't be surprised if that's not too far from, because I reckon Orton and Owens will wrestle at Saudi.
Yep.
And then that would make sense. That would make sense for War Games. I think that'd be good. It's where do they go from there? And it's nice with Triple H running it when we're coming up to Mania season and we have no idea what's actually booked. We have no idea. You know, we're talking about Survivor Series, which is nice. You know, if this was 5-6 years ago, but like, right, at WrestleMania we're going to get this, and this. We don't know, and that's quite good. And obviously they're approaching the Netflix era, which is great for living in the UK because you get Raw, NXT, SmackDown, all the pay-per-views for cheaper than some chips. So that's a win. They're on a hot streak. I think obviously they're so used to booking 3-hour Raws, as we said. It's been 10 plus years.
Yeah, man.
That is probably difficult to try and cram, but I felt there's a lot of promos. There was a lot of. I remember in particular I want to put this out into the universe. The Bronson Reed sit-down interview with Adam Pearce was some of the worst television I've watched in the last 10 years. It was really bad. But let's trying to spin some positives from that show. Cody Gunther was good. Yeah, that's all I can really say about that. AEW Dynamite, the pros you can take was the pop Adam Cole got.
Yeah.
It ended.
They didn't really factor the BCC in as much as well. And also, too, I want to say, okay, before we got off Raw, I actually misspoke. My buddy said it would actually be Roman, Cody, Jimmy, Sami Zayn, and then Jey Uso. I was like, okay, that actually makes more sense.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. I would take out Sammy and put Randy in there.
You know, you might be right for this scenario because you might actually be on the money with that because, yeah, they are actually about to butt heads. So, yeah, no.
Because KO attacked Cody after the pay-per-view and then he attacked Randy. So it would make sense for him to be against them. I'm glad Kevin Owens turned heel. I think he definitely needed it. It just freshens him up a little bit. And I think him versus Randy Orton match would be a really good match. So hopefully they give him a lot of time. I think that'd be good. Actually, I'm going to say one good thing I liked about Raw. Braun Breaker. They're not, they can book big men. Where you can give them that. They made him look like a real monster and then made Jimmy look like a star, and they're actually building up that IC title match pretty well. They're actually doing some good stuff with that IC belt. But what have we got actually coming up? That's what's done. What we got coming up?
I know that Saudi show is. I think that's what the 20. I want to say the 26th. I think that's when it's taking place. Power Struggle. They've announced a card for Power Struggle so far. I think we got was it David Finlay's wrestling Taichi? You know, the channel favorite, the Holy Emperor, right there. He's taking him on in November. Super Junior Tag League is about to get underway. They just unveiled their team. I hadn't put out a video yet, but I was going to talk about the matches we had for Power Struggle and the Super Junior Tag League teams and all that stuff like that. Tanahashi. Oh yeah, speaking of, yeah, I forgot. I can't even.
Oh yeah.
Tanahashi, man, his last day of pro wrestling will be January 4th, 2026. Making that between him and John Cena a week apart from when they retire. That's pretty insane. And I say this, I don't know if I can speak this to existence. Ghetto, Tanahashi, yourself, whoever's in control. Hey man, we gotta have that match happen, man. John Cena versus Tanahashi should have happened. Like, I don't know, I don't care. That match should definitely happen.
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm glad that he's set a date. That'll be good, and then he can focus on running the company. That'll be good. So there's the New Japan UK, isn't there? The Royal Quest. Do you know what's really funny? Me and my friends me and my mate were gonna go, and then we saw the initial card, and we looked at it and we thought, nah, because it's a trek, and it's on a Sunday as well, which is the worst because both got work on a Monday morning. So we're like, we looked at the card, we're like, that's not worth, because at the time I think it was just Tanahashi and Ishii potentially challenging for the strong openweight tag, and we were like, we're not getting no sleep for that. And then obviously they announced a world championship match and stuff, but yeah, is that available on New Japan World Live, or do they put that on a delay? Or
I think they put those Royal Quest shows on a delay, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
Yeah, because even when I watch the New Japan shows that are here in America, I don't order those live through New Japan. I order those through the Triller app because they're a little bit cheaper. So it's like, because you got to order them either way. So it's just like, man. So
well, maybe next week we can break that down, and hopefully there's some better fucking Raw and Dynamite. That's what I'm asking you as wrestling promoters, Triple H and Tony Khan. When we come on here next week, we've been quite negative, Nelly. Let us come on here. Let us talk positively about your shows. That's all I ask for. Because New Japan, I will definitely watch Royal Quest, and we can talk about that next Thursday, and we can talk about the Raw and Dynamite. But this has been good fun. It's time for me to hit the hay, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, man, I get it. So, I mean, I think that's a good way to wrap it up, talking about Tanahashi and both John Cena's retirement here in about a little over a year away, probably about, 12 months, not 12, 14 months away or whatever. So it's good that we'll have good fodder for that. And also, too, that's good on Tanahashi, LK, because not only is he the president of New Japan, but think about this. He's not going to be in the position of a guy like, and I'm not even disrespecting him because he's great, a guy like a Yuji Nagata or a Satoshi Kojima or, Nakanishi. He's not going to be any of those guys because they would be in the openers of how many shows that we watch. Tanahashi's like, nah, I'm the president. I'm not doing that shit. Like,
he's got better things to do than wrestle for 6-man tag belts.
I got better shit to do. But no, I think that's a good place for us to sign off at, man. So, like I said, we're going to try to make this a weekly thing, at least not weekly, bi-weekly. So, I mean, hey, look, we didn't get y'all every week, but still, we still are within within the circle. So that's all that damn matters, man. So be sure you like this video, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend, because the last time I checked, the price of the subscription is $3.99. It don't cost you nothing. All you got to do is hit that button, baby, that red button. Change it from red, change it to gray if you can. So that's all I got.